chickens and rolls. All right, welcome to Bread Week, which is the best, in my opinion. I love bread. I used to love eating it before I was gluten-free, but that's okay. You guys are going to love this week. And for this recipe, or this demo, we will be doing soft pretzels, which are awesome. Okay, so with soft pretzels, please do not expect hard, crispy pretzels, because this is not what this is about. We are going to be baking these suckers, and they're going to taste awesome. You also have the option of putting several different toppings on. I think I gave you 3 options, but you can also put any number of things. The ones I gave you are like cinnamon sugar, salt, you can do Parmesan, you can even do like baked cheese, you can do sesame seeds, you can do poppy seeds, you can do everything bagel topper. Seriously, so good. And then you can dip these into lots of different options as well. You can do pizza sauce, you can do cheese sauce, you can do honey mustard. So good. Okay, so for this recipe, as far as what we need, I've kind of already started some stuff just because I'd like us to move along. If you have not gone through like some of my other yeast recipes, yeast is really easy to use. The biggest thing is just making sure that it's fresh, that it works still, and you'll be able to tell right off the bat if it's not. And yeah, aside from that, very few ingredients on this one. Okay, so here's the recipe that we'll be using. And as always, I'm going to wash my hands to start off with for 20 seconds. My oven is actually already preheating, so for this recipe, I preheated to 400 convection or 425 bake. Dry my hands off. I'm good to go. I will be kneading, so I want to make sure that all my rings are off and everything is clear. So for this recipe, what I've done so far is I have mixed together warm water. Please do make sure it's not hot water, or else you'll kill your yeast. And yeast, and I put in 5 milliliters into this. I gave it a little stir with my whisk, and by the looks of it, it's doing pretty well. Okay, so when you want your way to test to see if your yeast is still good is as soon as you add water to it, you should see it start to bubble, you should see it start to bloom up, and that's how you know you're good. If it's doing nothing, you might not have okay yeast still. All right, and as far as storage goes for yeast, I typically store mine in the freezer. It remains better longer that way, I find, and I can use it for longer than just like couple months. Okay, so I've got my warm water, I've got my yeast, I let it sit for 1 to 2 minutes, and that's what we're going to pick off or start off for this recipe. And to this, I'm going to add my 2 milliliters of salt and then my 8 milliliters of sugar. So I've also prepped my baking pan for this as well. I've got a silicone baking mat that I'm going to use, but you guys, what I would recommend is using parchment. And so then I'm going to do 8. So I'm going to grab my 2 and do this 4 times. I can also do a 5, a 2, and a 1. Start adding my flour. Now, I'm going to add it within, I'm going to add the first 250 and I'm going to start mixing together with a wooden spoon or a rubber spatula. If you have a KitchenAid mixer and you've got a dough hook, 100% you can totally use that. It works really well. But I'm just going to use my arms and gumption, I guess. I'm gonna take my 125 actually, because for my container it works best. And I'm going to do 2 of these. So 1, 2. I am then gonna take my wooden spoon and I'm just gonna gently stir it. And I don't want to overwork my gluten or anything. Okay. So of course I am gonna have to add more, but I do want this to be quite a sticky dough. Right now it's super, super runny. So I'm adding in 125 and I'm gonna mix it once more. And you might not need all of your 500 milliliters worth of flour. Totally depends on the weather, depends on the type of flour you have. You do want to make sure that it's pliable and that you can move it, but that it's not going to stick to your hands like this, okay? So it's a little bit too sticky right now, so I'm actually just going to grab half of my 125 and sprinkle that in, and then maybe save the rest for when I need to knead this. So I do want quite a pliable dough, which means that it's easily stretched and easy to work with. But again, I don't want it so sticky that it's going to just run all over my hands like this, okay? So if I need to add more flour, I add more flour. And I'm getting a good base here. All right, so I'm going to lightly knead this, and it's actually not going to take that much kneading. So typically, I think when I taught you guys how to knead, I would say knead for like 8 to 10 times. But with this dough, I don't actually think I'm going to knead all of that. So I'm going to turn it onto a lightly floured surface. I'm going to turn this out, and I'm going to start to knead. So stretch, quarter turn, fold in. Okay, and again, I want it to be pliable. So as soon as it gets to this point where I've got this good dough, it's a ball, it's easy to work with, bounces back, that's when I want to stop. Do not over knead this dough, okay? All right, so from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to cut this into pieces. Now, if you want 5 smaller pretzels, that's when you would cut it into 5 pieces. I'm gonna do 5 or 4 medium-ish, they're gonna be small, right? Because the recipe is not a lot, but they're not gonna be too bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my metal spatula and I'm just gonna cut it into sections. And you do wanna make sure that they're about the same size so that your pretzels bake the same. So this is slightly uneven, so I'm gonna add that. Okay, now I've got my 4 pieces. So what I'm gonna do is my rolling out process. So I've got my little piece here. I'm going to make a rope. So I'm gonna stretch it as I go and just roll it. And basically what you want it to do is kind of look like a snake. And you want it to be even. So as you do this, you're gonna actually separate your hands so that it naturally stretches pretty well, okay? Once you feel like you've got a pretty good size rope, you can then do the pretzel shape, which is to brace it, basically come together, cross it, and then fold it over top, okay? Now this rope is a little bit thick, so I'm gonna have to help it just a little bit. But that's essentially what you're doing, okay? So again, you're gonna cross it. So I'm actually going to start again because this is too thick. Now, if this is too hard, okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your long rope and you're just going to cross it and twist it, all right? And if it gets too sticky, get some more flour on there so that it's easier to work with. All right, let's see if this will work better. So again, come together, cross it twice, okay, and then fold it back. Okay, so I'm going to take my second piece. And if I need some more flour to roll out, just grab that. Now, traditionally with pretzels, what you would actually do is after you do this shaping, you would do a baking soda wash or baking soda boil, basically. And it's the exact same thing with bagels as well, actually. And it's the way that they get that really golden brown coloring on the outside and like the crispy on the outside, chewy in the center. And basically what you're doing is you're just getting a pot, you're bringing it to boil, and you're putting in about like 2 milliliters of baking soda into it. And that just then provides that. I will not be showing you guys how to do that, but you're more than welcome to do it, okay? Just take a slotted spoon, boil them for about like a minute max, okay? Take them out, put them on your parchment, and then you would do the egg wash and everything else like I'm doing, all right? So again, if this is too hard, just take these pieces together and just twist them, and you'll make what's called like a pretzel twist, okay? So that's the other option. That's the easier option, all right? I think now, after working with this dough, I'd probably do 5. So it might roll out a little bit better. For this one. Alright. And again, this should be really, really pliable dough. Really easy to work with. Should not be that hard. You just want to make sure you don't overwork it so that your gluten is stretched out too much. Okay, so from there, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to get my egg, and I'm going to get my pie dish, and I'm actually going to crack my egg into my pie dish. I'm going to take my fork, and I'm just going to break the egg yolk and just mix it. And I'm going to provide my bagels with an egg wash. Okay, so I will be getting both sides in the egg wash. And this will make it nice and shiny when I bake it. Alright, so obviously after I've done that, and if I've missed any parts, I can always kind of fill them in, which should be pretty good. I I am going to wash my hands. Now I'm going to be sprinkling cinnamon sugar on top. If you are going to do salt, I would then just and you want to do coarse salt if you're going to do this, just to get like lots of good salt pieces. The other option you can do is some oregano, some thyme, and then of course if you're dipping it into pizza sauce, that'd be really, really good. If you wanted to do cinnamon sugar, I provided you guys with the recipe, and again, you can dip this into cream cheese icing, which would be really good. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to put it into the oven for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to broil the top for 5. So because I am going to be broiling the top, what I'm going to do is, right now my oven racks are kind of near the top, but kind of not. So I'm actually, when I broil, I'm actually going to put it down 1 level, but I'm going to set my timer for 10. And then of course, I'm going to start my cleanup. Now, when I do my cleanup, I do want to make sure that since I was kneading on my countertop, that I'm actually using my pastry scrape or some sort of like metal spatula to scrape off, okay? And I want to make sure that I'm not using anything that's going to cause damage to my my top. And then I can get rid of the rest of my egg in my compost and stuff like that, okay? So again, you're gonna bake for 10 minutes. After that, you are going to put your broil setting on, which usually is typically 550, and you are going to watch it broil, okay? So you should be able to get in 5 minutes, but if it gets super, super dark and it starts to look like it's burning, pull it out. But again, 5 minutes is what you're looking for, and I will see you after I've finished that.